You're watching the world's only weekly lacrosse program, Lacrosse Inside the Game. With Gary Mark and Ron Messer.
Welcome back this week in Lacrosse. Gary Mark along with Ron Messer. And Ron, the season is just about to begin, the summer season for everybody here in Ontario and out in BC and all over the country. But we do know the Founders Cup this year is in Mimico, Ontario. They've already got the logo out. Some pretty good looking stuff.
Yeah, I really like that, and along with the new logo with my favorite Blue Goose Lacrosse t-shirt that they sell at all the games there, and the really cool looking new Founders Cup tournament logo they've got. They're already going to have a celebrity dinner that night with some luminaries from lacrosse and the hockey world, and who knows, you and I have been known to work for food.
I saw that posting on the van for him. Well, obviously we don't look like we've missed too many meals, so yeah. We'll probably work for some food. If we're invited down, I fully expect to go down there this year.
Oh, we'll be there.
At least to cover the games and actually view them. So if we're invited to anything else, hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we'll probably take them up on that.
Okay.
So, reviewing last week in the NLL to start off here, we said just before we went on air here, I said to you, I basically am at the point, like I am every year, I give up. I don't know what to do.
I don't know. That's what we said. This league's so exciting. You don't know who's going to win from one week to the next. We had a couple of front-running fools in the Rock and the Washington Stealth there at the beginning, but the last 3 weeks, both of those teams have fallen.
Yeah, and talk about front-running fools. You had a front-running fool in the pool for the last few weeks, and after this past week, not so sure I'm still there. Anyways, let's recap quickly. Minnesota goes into Colorado. I believe this was actually maybe the only game that I got right, but a very close one, 13-12.
Yeah, big crowd, 15,000 plus again, doing a great job there in Colorado to keep the people coming back for more. Colorado's at 2-6. They're at the bottom of the standings in the West, along with Buffalo. They're also sporting a 2-6 record.
Yeah, we maybe might have thought one at the beginning of the year, but nobody thought Buffalo at the beginning of the year. The game we were at, Orlando goes into Toronto, 16-12 Orlando, and I have to tell you, we've talked about them all season. I mean, this has kind of been my sweetheart team the last couple of years. Pretty safe to say, these guys, the American field players, have really taken a great grasp of this indoor box game. You've commented on it so many times before, the size of these guys. They're a bunch of monsters out on the field. And I think, in my opinion, that was the difference in the game. Not that Toronto played poorly. I just thought Orlando was bigger and stronger, and they did what they wanted to do in both ends of the floor.
In this NLL game, it's a little different than the summer game. There's not as much cutting across the middle and stuff around the crease. And they played that perfectly. They kept Toronto way outside, forced them to take some long shots at Matt Vince. And that was the story of the game. Bobby Watson had a poor second quarter, I believe it was, too, when the Rock got down. But, you can't fault the guy. One crummy quarter the whole season so far. But
yeah, well, actually, and there was actually, I wrote up in the article there was 2 runs there where they scored, I believe it was 6 goals in the second quarter, 5 of them in a 2-minute span. And then in the third quarter, I believe it was a 4-goal run. Those don't always get... Well, they do usually get blamed on the goaltender, but from the game I saw, I don't think you can blame the goalie.
No.
They were flat. They were flat for a number of minutes there at 2 different points in the game. And you tally up those goals, there's 12 of the 16 goals in a matter of minutes throughout the game. So, as I said, Orlando, very, very impressive. I mean, Casey Powell, I'm getting sick of talking about him. He's so good.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's more there than just Casey Powell. Pat Madalena was phenomenal that night.
Yeah.
John Orson looked really good. Who was he? Ryan Boyle. Those guys can score from anywhere.
Yeah.
And as I said, when you've got size and strength like that, first place team right now.
Yeah, they are. Done a great job.
The other one, so the rest of these now, I guess from here on down, including the Orlando game, here's all the games I had wrong. Edmonton goes into Rochester, what sounds like quite a nail-biter here, going into overtime. Edmonton wins. Tough place to win, I've always thought in the past. Edmonton pulls one out.
Yeah, Edmonton under Derek Keenan is not going to roll over and die by any means. Rochester, I get a little bit star heavy at the top, and from what I see close up and from what I've heard, there's a little bit of trouble in the hen house there. and that doesn't relate well on the floor. You've got to throw the ball and share the ball around, and it's just, to me, the games that I've saw, Gary, it's far too often in the hands of Gary Gate or John Grant Jr., and the rest of the guys are fighting for the ball, and when they're getting it, they're shooting it perhaps in low percentage situations, and they're not winning.
No, and that, I mean, that's always been well, for any team, there's only one ball on offense. Yeah. But that win by Edmonton now with the 3-game slide, is it? I believe that Washington's on. Edmonton's now 1 game back in the West.
Yep, they're at 5-3. Yeah.
So Washington, as I just mentioned, they go into Boston. Boston, again, similar to last season, had a very poor start. Lately, they've been coming on, doing quite well. They are sitting in third place tie with Rochester now. Boston wins that one at home, 11-9.
Yeah, Boston, once again, another team I was surprised didn't start off too well, but they rounded out into their own. Nick Cotter, Dan Dawson leading the way down there. And Anthony Cosmos, once again, I think the best goalie in the game at the present moment, and it ain't over till it's over.
I might argue that fact with Matt Vitz, the way Vitz played the other night.
Yeah, okay.
But it won 1-8 as far as I'm concerned. And then the other one, Philly, just when you're about to stick a fork in them, they go into Buffalo, and 15 goals later, they come out with a win. Just when you thought maybe Buffalo had kind of found their legs, they lose. That's why I said earlier, I give up, throw it up in the air.
Yeah, well,
wherever it lands.
But it's also why it makes the league so intriguing, you know, and keeps the fans coming back week after week because you don't know what's going to happen. Parity, there's the word.
Yeah. We've talked about that in years past. I mean, go look at videos from 2 years ago. We were talking about parity. But again, Philly not quite done yet. Buffalo not quite back out of their conundrum just yet.
Nope.
So we'll quickly go here. We've got a few minutes before we end this segment. Just to recap the standings here in the East and the West. You've got Orlando, Toronto, Boston, Rochester, Philly, Buffalo in that order. I guess it's pretty safe to say, I think anyways, the biggest surprise is Buffalo at the bottom. A little bit of a surprise, Toronto being in second place.
Yes, and I expected more to Rochester as well, to tell you the truth. Go to the West, the Stealth are still in first place with 6-3. Edmonton hot in their heels with a 5-3 record. Calgary 4-3. Minnesota 4-4, and Colorado's at the bottom there at 2-6, which surprises the heck out of me.
Well, again, I'll start the season. I mean, Gavin Prout leaves. He's on to another team now. Not necessarily saying they went to the future with what they got back, but not an immediate impact. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily shocked about that, but and I mean that West just looks tough.
It does, you know. But and it's like any lacrosse game. Somebody the other night was saying, "Oh darn, now we're down by 3 or 4." That's nothing in a lacrosse game. To have your schedule look this way too, and the way that lacrosse goes, this is not over yet by a long shot. The most games played by any team are the Rock with 10 at the present moment, and so there's still 6 games left there, and who's got the least games played?
Looks like Orlando's only played 6.
Orlando with 6,
and they're in first place.
10 left. You know, so all kinds of things can change. All the mathematical possibilities that are the National Lacrosse League will come to the fore right down to the last afternoon of the league again.
Yeah. And as I said, it looks very good for Orlando being in first place at 4-2, having played 4 less games.
Okay,
so they can win those. They're smooth sailing. So that's going to wrap it up for the first part here. We'll be back with our fearless predictions. Well, not so fearless anymore, I don't think, in the next bit.
Okay.
Romeo was restless, he was ready to kill. He jumped out the window cause he couldn't sit still. Juliet was waiting with a safety net. Said, don't bury me cause I'm not dead yet. Why don't you tell me about the misery dance?